Moses was only 8 years old when his parents discovered that he was born with a slight squint. And his parents thought of correcting this squint at this very tender age. So they invited a special eye surgeon, the best that they could find in the country, to perform this surgery. Unfortunately, little Moses, on his 8th day, suffered a cardiac arrest because he reacted to the anesthesia that was administered to him in theater, and Moses died. This family was overly devastated, and it was a challenging experience for me to walk with his family through this trying moment of loss. Well, someone might easily say Moses died prematurely. I don't think so. Life has been likened to a race. Some of us have been called to run the short races, others have been called to run middle distance races, and others the long distance races. It's important that you know your race, that you run your race, and that you finish your race. My name is Kuchio from CITAM ChurchOnline. I invite you to join me in this discussion as we talk about know, run, and finish your race. Now, the Apostle Paul, writing to his protege in the faith, Timothy, in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 6 to 8 says this: "For I am already being poured out like a drink offering, and the time for my departure is near. I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing." The Apostle Paul was sure of one thing at this point in time, that his race had come to an end. It presupposes that the Apostle Paul knew he had run his race and he was finished. Because he says, "I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, and I have kept the faith." Life, as we know it, has been likened to a race. Some of us will do sprints. Some of us will do the middle distance races, and others the marathons. As Kenya mourns the passing of our second president, His Excellency, retired President Daniel Arap Moi, who has died at 95. Others say probably he was way older than 95, maybe 103. Whether you liked him or not is not the issue for discussion today. But I have this assurance that this man knew his race. He ran it and he finished it. His seems to be a marathon. By the time you hit 90, you definitely are one of those who was called to run at the marathon. But not just time. He is a man who began as a teacher, then transitioned into politics. And while at the apex of his political career, under the title Professor of Politics, he may not have been schooled in matters politics, as we know it from a university. But the moves that he made impressed even political experts, thereby earning the title Professor of Politics. My prayer is that as we mourn President Moi, this will be a time of reflection for you and I to ask ourselves the questions: do we know our race? Do you know your race? And if you know your race, are you running your race? And if you're running your race, be determined to finish your race. That at the close of time, when the curtains are drawn on your life, it will be said of you, you fought the good fight, you finished the race, and you kept the faith. What race are you running? Are you running a sprint? You see, Jesus died at 33 years old. And it was very possible for somebody to say he died prematurely. His, given today's life expectancy, his was actually a sprint. But on the cross, he confidently said, it is finished. He lived with such purpose. He went to the cross with such resoluteness that no one could distract him. Not the running narratives of the day, not the religious leaders, not even his family could persuade him or dissuade him against the decision to go to the cross, because he lived to die. His was very purposeful. He knew his race at a very tender age. When his parents went looking for him and found him at the temple, he told them, didn't you know that I had to be about my master's business? At 12 years old, he knew his race. He knew his purpose. And he ran his race. You see, when you know your race, you will not be easily distracted. You simply become unstoppable. He didn't just run his race. He finished his race. It is important that you know, run, and finish your race, because this is what will make for satisfaction. This is what will make for gratification in life. You're probably listening to me, and you're one of those who's wondering, what on earth am I here for? God who put you on earth for a reason. And if you do not know your race, God is happy to reveal to you your race. But it's important that you know your race. About 3 years ago, I spent some time reading and some time praying, asking God, what exactly have you called me to do? It is true I have been preaching, I've been a pastor for several years. But what exactly is my life's purpose? What exactly is my life's race? I wanted God to help me understand with such precision as to what he had called me to do. And God spoke to me through a series of events and made it crystal clear that my life's purpose, my life's race, was opening doors for others. And for the rest of my life, I have committed to this one thing, opening doors for others. Because you see, purpose is understood by connecting dots backwards. And when you connect dots backwards, they point to a pattern of events or occasions that left you truly and deeply gratified in life's journey. That is a discovery that you have to make for yourself, but you're not on your own, because God wants to reveal to you what your life's race is. The Apostle Paul was called to be an apostle to the Gentiles. At this time, the Jews were not persuaded that the gospel should actually be preached amongst the Gentiles. But he had an encounter, and God revealed to him that his race was to share the gospel message with the Gentiles. But at some point he was not too sure, so he went to Jerusalem and consulted who he calls the super apostles, Peter and James. Whereas Peter was called, and you could see Peter pursuing, preaching the gospel to the Jewish community, the Apostle Paul was focused like a laser beam in sharing the gospel to the Gentile world. And at the time of writing 2 Timothy, he had run his race. He had fought the good fight. He had run his race, and he had kept the faith. The only reason why we could say, and he could say this confidently, is because he knew his race. Was he discouraged along the way? Yes. Were there attempts to stop him? Yes, in fact, to even kill him. Not once, not twice. He was stoned. He was beaten. He was shipwrecked. But he kept going because he knew his race. You see, what makes you and I unstoppable is when we know our race and we commit to run it to the very end. People have said that it is not important how you start but how you finish your race. I'm not very sure. That is partly true. It is important for you to start well, to run well, that you may finish well. You see, some races like 100 meters dash. If you don't start well, it will affect how you run and how you finish. So it's important once you know your race, you start well, you run well, and you finish well. My prayer is that God will help you know your race, run your race, and finish your race. You may be listening to me this day and you're one of those who's grieving. Maybe the loss of a loved one, and you're wondering, will I pull through this? I came to encourage you that once you know your race and ask God to help you, He will help you run your race, and He will help you to also finish your race. But you must stay in the race. God has sufficient grace for every one of us to know, run, and finish our race. May it be said of us like the Apostle Paul, you kept the good fight. I mean, you fought the good fight, you finished your race, and you kept the faith. May that be said of you, may that be said of me. Because God is interested in you and I knowing, running, and finishing our race. I close with this story of John Stephen Aquari, a marathon runner who was sent by his country in 1968 in the Summer Olympics in Mexico. While running the marathon course in Mexico, it is said that he tripped and got injured. But he picked himself up and, limping, bleeding, he made his way right to the finish line. And when he took the final lap in the stadium, he was giving a standing ovation, though he came in last. But there was a curious reporter who wanted to find out from John Stephen Aquari why he insisted on running to the end, even though he came in last. John Stephen Aquari, in typical African fashion, said, "My country did not send me here to begin the race. My country sent me here to finish the race." How profound. God has not called you just to start a race. God has called you to finish the race. So you may be feeling like quitting. I came to encourage you with the words of John Stephen Aquari. God did not call you just to start the race. God called you to start, to run, and to finish your race. So don't quit. Don't throw in the towel. There is sufficient grace for you to start, to run, and to finish. May God help you to know, run, and finish your race. My name is Patrick Kuchio from CITAM ChurchOnline. Please keep in touch with us through the social media platforms displayed at the bottom of the screen. I would like to know how you are running your race. Do you know your race? Are you running it? We were happy to help you and hold you accountable as you run this race, that we may all finish the race and finish strong. God bless you richly.